Good afternoon, YouTube. JT Serenity Farms prepping here. Back in Facebook jail for 7 days. They loved me. Okay, so tomorrow and the next day could be very interesting. So what do we know today before I tell you about what we believe is going to happen? Okay, so we know that the narrative has been for the last week that the MAGA march, the peaceful march on January 6th was all a setup. There's countless videos out there showing CNN conspiring with Blantifa scumbags, people being led in. We know it was a scam. It was to start the narrative that anyone not of the libtard socialist ideology is a white supremacist, a terrorist, an extremist. Okay, that's all we've been hearing for over a week now. DC is a virtual fortress. The piece of shit Mayor Bowser from DC wanted National Guard. She's been spreading all sorts of rumors. So there's 25,000 National Guard troops, armored vehicles, Humvees, helicopters, planes, everything. We don't have that kind of security in many of the countries where we have military soldiers. And what is the narrative they're still doing? This morning, they shut down the virtual practice session because they saw smoke. Turns out it was the DC homeless had a fire. So the people who caused the homelessness saw the homelessness and shut it down, blaming it, of course, on some kind of attempt on the inauguration festivities. The Secret Service and the National Guard are overwhelmingly white, so now they're trying to vet all 25,000 National Guard because there's been word from the FBI that there's going to be some kind of attempt. You see the narrative. Shut down free speech. Label all conservatives supremacists and terrorists. You see where it's all going. Which is why this, what I'm going to read you now, is likely happening. Why are the Democrats so afraid? They've got everything they want. What are they afraid of? The truth. They realize, despite all the shenanigans in November, no one believes it. And it's just getting more entrenched in us to never accept what we all know went down. And they're afraid. Mostly because of D-class, I think. But nonetheless, let's get into it. Alright, so this first memo is from 1/16/21, 2100 hours. There's an ID number with it I'm not giving out. And stringer out earlier today around 4 p.m. Within 72 hours, we go. Julian Assange travel, comms turned in. 1010 has the call. Comms directed by Central Command. Radio systems moving. Encryption algorithm for D-class materials. Shock and awe. Read 1 through 6. Read 1 through 5, all completed. 6 in process. Leadership now in the White House. Prepare for touchdown. 13959, that executive order. Special Ops comms access to White House is now working. Prep, POTUS, and Kennedy, question mark. Phew. Okay, so we have 3 Titan missiles. Number 3 is pointed at the Three Gorges Dam in China. If that dam goes, which it's likely to do on its own anyway, it wipes out almost 40% of all farmland in China, all their food supply. Okay? Number 2 is pointing at the Wuhan labs, where it's very likely all of this started between the Democrats and the Chi-Coms. And missile number 1 is pointed at Tiananmen Square. Wow. Command is ready to go. Whew. Secure communications established. Dias Air Force Base, Specialties in Medical Transport, Federal Law, Contingency Government in place. D-Class package moved to concerned parties and decrypt key below. Oh, package Ray, dump. Package Haspel, dump. Package sent contains D-Class on Ray. Package sent contains D-Class on Haspel. Airborne for Assange. All assets deployed. So, the D-Class stuff is going to happen. The missiles are what is going to happen if what I read you now were to take place. Yes, all 3 are aimed at positions in China for a reason. What is to come? Everyone's upset and impatient no trigger has been pulled yet, but make no mistake, the president will do what is necessary to defend the Constitution. Much is being done out of public view. 25,000 troops are now in D.C. under the guise of riot control and the inauguration. More troops across the country, all major Democrat cities, 17 cesspool cities, are on standby 1-hour recall. POTUS just designated Cuba as a terrorist state relating to election interference. As we know, with China, with Italy, with Iran, with North Korea. Okay? POTUS just delisted a number of Chinese company from having business done with them. That we know. He sent a letter to Pelosi telling her, anyone who has done business with these Chinese companies back 365 days has 60 days to get rid of all connections to those Chinese companies, because it was all insider trading where the Chinese set up stuff on the stock market, Wall Street, all that good stuff. Democrats were given inside info, invested millions in those companies to get rich, and the millions they invested were funneled directly back to China, and we were building their army for them to use against us. So by listing all these companies as enemies of the state, anyone who's invested in them that's not out of it in 60 days will be arrested for treason and insider trading. On the other hand, when they sell all the assets they have, it exposes everyone who was owned by the Chinese and had invested in these companies knowing it was funding their army. Win-win. All right. The recent blackouts in Italy, at the Vatican, Pakistan, and Iran were from Space Force. They temporarily took out parts of their power grid from up there. This was in preparation for war with China and Iran, but it's not a conventional war with tanks and bombs. It's a cyber war, including satellites that can knock out communications, data centers. And this is why, according to this article, the Space Force was instituted by POTUS a while back. It just wasn't about going to Mars. It was for this. Other countries have satellites in space that can do severe damage, and now we can take them out and do more damage to them. According to this, and I know there are 250,000 Chinese troops surrounding us, 75,000 in Canada and British Columbia doing winter training, and all the rest are in Mexico just inside the border. They built bases there a couple years ago. Our generals have said if any of them set foot in this country, they'll be wiped out swiftly, as we're ready, and they already know they're there. When the POTUS gave that speech at the wall in Texas, he was letting China know, supposedly it was a signal that we're ready for business and that he is in charge. So, very soon he's going to be getting in front of all of us to produce the evidence so all the people know he is the real elected president. They all know it anyway. The Democrats just don't care. He will likely have to use the emergency alert system to do this in 2 or 3 days. And we will get a timeline for dates. And some may be disinformation. This has to be done because calls are being listened to, emails are being hacked. Okay, the mayor of Oklahoma City was informed on Monday by POTUS via email that the Insurrection Act had been enacted and arrests will begin in Oklahoma City. I'm not sure what's there, but apparently that's where they're going to start, and it's the first of many cities where it's going to happen. This is kind of confirmation that the Insurrection Act is in place. Obviously, don't believe the media, especially the fake news, all their optics. It is to draw your attention away from everything that's going on. But, the election was cyber warfare on the USA. A paper was sent to the White House on the voting in 4 states that showed Chinese cyber attacks moving votes from Trump to Pedo Joe. They have proof of this now. This is a foreign country involved in our election, so this has escalated from a domestic issue to an attack from a foreign country. This has moved from a constitutional voting issue to a national security issue. That was the 13959. As we know, the vid was a biological attack on our country to shut down our economy and push the mail-in ballots nationwide to pull off a steal along with the Damien Onion systems. Okay? It was a man-made bioweapon in Wuhan at the Wuhan lab, which is why there is a Triton pointed directly at that place. As we know, and according to this, it was designed specifically to target the elderly and the immune weakened systems to get the death rate as high as possible so that the fake news, the Democrats, they could all conspire to pump the mass hysteria and fear-mongering by a death count, which seemed to work pretty well for the diaper wearers. Okay? That's why every single death since March practically has been listed as the vid. Okay. General Flynn and all the other generals are encouraging us all as patriots to resist across this country and Canada. Take off your mask. Get outside. Open your business. They can't stop us all. There aren't enough jail cells to hold everybody. There's not enough police to go around arresting everybody. That is supposedly the orders of the person who's telling us all to get out and start living. There is no mandate in our Constitution law, as we know, to keep us from seeing each other or opening or closing our businesses. The Capitol building attack was Blantifa, all tactical deception. So according to these guys, nobody's going to get nuked, and you just have to be prepared. There might be blackouts, internet down, cell phones for short periods. Make sure you just have your food, a way to stay warm. If the power goes out, don't panic. Democrat-controlled big cities likely will be hit the worst because they're full of tards and the Blantifa. And they'll start their riot, looting, burning, assaulting, blah, 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 when they realize Biden isn't seated. So that's why the military's on standby. That's why they've been assigned to 17 cesspool cities. Yeah, according to this, yes, the number of Chinese troops all around us is very scary, but they were only coming in if Biden was seated. Then they would start on changing our country. Remember, they have been promised America by the Democrats and the rhino traders who they own. So, the Joint Chiefs of Staff did put out a letter that they were supporting Biden on the 20th, but that's what they have to say right now. So, you know, and the main thing of this was to remember, if POTUS doesn't do something about this and stop it, he knows that the deep state and the Democrats will never stop. They will go for him, they will go for his family, and they will come for the rest of us. They already have plans. They've told us they're going to. That is just a fact. So from now to the 19th is showtime. We just don't know exactly when. We are in a full-blown military operation to remove the threats and install our president back in power. Keep in mind, if the lights go out and Biden is not president, it's not China coming here, it's us knocking out the lights to weed out the bad guys. Massive arrests will be happening. Alright, I know. And after all is said and done, if this all actually happens, there's going to be a new supposed, a new world currency, and it will be backed by the gold standard, like it always should have been. It supposedly will be run on the new quantum financial system, which gets rid of the central banks and SWIFT. So, you got to remember, what is scaring the Democrats, the deep state, the big tech scum the most is that they're going to be exposed for the pedophilia, the child sex trafficking rings they've all profited from. Folks, just hang in there. This is all unprecedented. We are in a war already, as you know. I'm in Facebook jail. How many people have been taken off Facebook, Instagram, the twats, Parler, everything you can think of? They're trying to suppress our speech. If we don't have free speech, then when we do speak, it's deemed terrorist speak. There's only one viewpoint out there at all times. It's communism. It's here. We gotta squash it. So, long-winded. I spoke kind of fast. I did all I could to verify what I just told you, and obviously someone said it. So it's true someone said it. Is this person as connected as they want me to believe they are? I sure hope so. Now, remember, there's a lot of people out there that they have information bias. They only research information that is going to tell them what they want to hear, satisfy their urge to know the other side is doing everything that we already know they're doing, and to try and quell their fears. We're conservatives. We're patriots. We're open-minded. Yeah, we all want to hear and see things that verify what we're seeing and hearing. That's natural. But I always make it a point to see what the other side is doing and saying, and that usually verifies what I know much more than finding an article that tells me what I already know. Stay strong. I went and did massive preparations today, just because I know family members are probably going to be showing up if anything goes down. I don't think it's going to be grid down. Most small towns and cities won't see too much negative activity, but there could be food supply shortages, gas supply shortages. Some of these towns are going to put in curfews because they still got some little Blantifa scumbags. Even if it's 5 or 10, if you got a libtard mayor, they do what they do. Just please stay strong. I hope that I can still get another video after I get more information today, if I learn anything, because after today I don't know. But anytime it's up, I'm going to get something out there for you. So like, share, subscribe, comment, notification bell. Do a lot of this. But for now, JT, signing off.